Yeah, BSB race winner Brad Ray is joining us on the show for tonight. It's going to be the first of our many guests we've got on the show tonight. Brad, how are we doing?
How you doing? All right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can hear you fine here.
Spot on.
No, that's perfect. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show and coming on to talk to us.
No problem.
Obviously, you've recently signed a new contract. You're going to be racing with OMG for 2021. How does it feel to have that signed and out of the way?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, after the year we've had this year with the Cinetic BMW team, and obviously being such a short season, it's nice to get a contract under our belt. It's nice to stay on the BMW again for 2021, a bit of continuity. I feel that the bike has got good potential. We didn't really get a chance to maybe improve the package as much as what we needed to this year. So rolling into 2021, I feel that we can do that with the OMG team with the new BMW that's coming out as well. So really looking forward to it and really happy to get that contract signed.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you're going to be on the new BMW next year that's going to be coming out. Are you excited to hop your leg over that one?
I am, yes. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we're going to be doing a lot of back-to-back testing with it from this year's bike to next. It seems that BMW have put a lot of work into the new bike ready for 2021. I mean, they only brought a new bike out last year, and they've already brought out this new M Sport bike. So it seems they're pretty serious about getting the job done. And obviously signing Van der Mark in World Championship, that just proves that they're pretty serious about improving the package and improving the results. So I think it's going to be a big step forward for BMW next year.
And now for you as a rider, obviously, I mean, you've already been riding the BMW, for the past few years, and now moving over to the new one. What's involved for you now to make that transition to the new bike?
For us, it's just going to be laps. I mean, as soon as the new bike comes, the team will evaluate it and back it to last year's bike, see what's improved and what's changed to the new bike, and then we'll obviously go straight out to testing as soon as possible, and make a plan from there. Test what we need to test and find the areas where the bike's strong. Find the areas where we may need to improve it a little bit. But it's just going to be a case of getting laps on it and building some data ready for the first round of the championship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what do you expect? What do you expect from the bike for a start?
For me, I think BMW have been working hard with the World Championship, and they've obviously built a bike where they feel they've improved a lot of areas, which they were maybe lacking in the bike from last year and the previous year. So I think they've addressed the problems, maybe improved them, and I think they're hoping to bring a bike out that's going to be a little bit more competitive for us in BSB and in World Superbikes.
What sort of areas would you say then that the BMW sort of needs to work on or needs to be? What are you looking to get out of this new bike compared to the old one?
I think for us, for me, after last year on the BM, I think a little bit of rear traction, maybe to improve the rear of the bike a little bit. The front was incredible. I never had any issues with steering the bike and stopping the bike. It was just a case of maybe lacking a little bit of rear grip. And I would say it's difficult to say, but maybe a little bit of electronic side of things, maybe understanding that a bit more. But I think we would have got to the bottom of that maybe towards the end of the year if we had a full season. So yeah, I think for us it's not going to be as big of a step as maybe what it will be in World Superbikes. I think for them their most important area is obviously top speed, improving that to compete with the Ducati and the new Honda that's come out. So yeah, it'll be interesting. As soon as the bike comes, we'll be able to test both bikes back to back it, and obviously keep in contact with the BMW factory team in World Superbikes and try and make a plan moving forward.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, how much actual contact is there then between sort of a team in BSB like OMG and like yourself and the factory?
I think it differs. I think it depends on the team. It depends if you're so-called factory backed or not. I think if you are factory backed, then you may get a little bit more support. You may get information a bit sooner. But I mean, at the end of the day, BMW are going to keep in contact with all the teams that are using BMW, because at the end of the day, they want their bike to be up the sharp end and winning races. So if they can help in any way, then I think they'll be doing that.
And then moving back a little bit, obviously, I mean, you jumped onto the BMW from the Suzuki. What was the main sort of differences between those two bikes?
It's hard to tell. I mean, they're similar bikes in a way because of the engine characteristics are the same. I mean, chassis wise, you just have to learn to ride them a different way. Each bike has to be ridden a different way. You just have to spin laps, get your head around it, and just improve the way you're riding it. For me, the difference with the BM and Suzuki, the BM sort of chassis itself was maybe a little bit more consistent. The change we made improved the bike a little bit better than maybe it did on the Suzuki. But then again, Suzuki had real good rear grip. So it's a compromise between all bikes. I mean, every bike has its strengths and weaknesses. You just have to find a way to ride the bike in the best way possible and get the best out of the package.
Was it tough wrapping your head around it? Obviously, with a shortened season, with less sort of track time available.
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, we lacked quite a bit of testing. We didn't actually go out to Spain the start of the year like the other teams did. So we got a day in Ireland, which was a bit of iffy conditions, and then we got the official BSB test at Donington. Then it was straight into round one. So we didn't actually get a chance to really knuckle down on testing and get some information on the bike. And when we did do the test in Ireland, we was on last year's spec bike anyway. So it wasn't till sort of Donington that we got on the full superbike and cracked on. So we did lack a lot of track time on the bike, which made it quite difficult to be able to be competitive from the word go. But from the results, we started to make improvements with the bike, started to get my head around it. And towards the end of the season, we was able to get good qualifying, we were able to push for good results in the race. I think if we had a full season, then we would have been maybe a bit higher up in the races in the championship.
Yeah, and absolutely. And now, obviously, with moving from BMW to BMW, although it being the new bike, you can carry that now into next year as well. But with it, obviously, now the season's starting quite a bit later than it usually does. Does that mean now you've got you can have a solid sort of plan and program for testing in place?
Yeah, I think so. I think what myself and maybe a few other riders will do is head out to Spain, maybe the start of the year, just on a stock bike to get some laps in, to get back up to speed, and then for everyone, we got quite a good testing plan this year. BSB and Stuart Higgs have made a real good plan to stay in the UK this year and do testing on the UK tracks. And I think we've got 5 or 6 tests in April before we actually get the season underway in May. So it's going to be very vital to get all them tests done. Make sure we don't miss any of them. And I think it will make the racing better, and it'll make our job a bit easier to go into the season knowing we got a good package and knowing where we are with the bike.
And moving sort of towards the season, what are your sort of goals then for 2021?
I'd like to be fighting for wins and podiums. I feel that I've had enough experience now in BSB to be able to do that. We've proved we can be on the podium and win races. So I think with the new team, the Rich Energy OMG squad and the new BMW coming out, I think we've got a strong package and strong team behind us to be able to work well and fight for wins and hopefully get into the showdown if it happens next year and have a chance to fight for the championship.
Would you rather have a showdown, or would you rather have it as a normal sort of year?
For me personally, I quite like the normal year. I quite like just fighting from start to finish. It's a bit frustrating. I haven't been in the position, but if you're 1 point away from getting in the showdown, and then that's your season over basically, because you're 7th for the rest of the year, and that's as high as you can get. So it's a bit of a shame, but then on the other hand, it's good for if you can get into the showdown, you've got a bigger chance to be able to fight for the championship, and I suppose it makes it closer racing for the fans and a bit more interesting.
Does it change your strategy much then? Obviously, going through the season, are you looking to be racking up as many points to make sure you're not in that position?
I think it's difficult to say. I think you just go out and do your race, do the best you can in the races, and that's all you can do. I mean, there's no good getting to round one and already thinking about the championship. You just got to go out there, enjoy riding your bike, get the best result you can, and if by the end of the year you're in the showdown, great. And if not, then something's obviously gone wrong throughout the year. But it doesn't change the strategy. You just go out and do the best job you can.
Yeah, no, for sure. And looking back then on your season 2020, how would you? Obviously, it was a bit of a roller coaster. I think it's safe to say. How do you look back on that?
It wasn't easy. The lack of testing obviously didn't help, like I said, but I think a few things hindered me throughout the year. A few mechanical issues in a couple of races. Obviously, with BSB, it's quite difficult. If you end up missing race one and not setting a lap time, then you're at the back of the grid for race two, which then sort of messes that race up, and then means you have to try and get a good lap time, and then for the third race. So we had a couple of times where I didn't finish even two races and I had to start from the back of the grid on a couple of occasions, and I missed Donington Park due to a leg injury from a chain coming off and hitting my leg. But yeah, it wasn't the most smooth season, I would say. It was a bit of up and down, but all the times that everything was going well, we didn't have any mechanicals or any issues, and we was up the sharp end and was able to sort of get the bike to where we needed to be.
Well, quickly, while we're talking about Donington Park, Brad, what have you done with Donington Park? Because it's just, you had that amazing double there a couple of years ago, and then what was it, last year on the Suzuki, your rear caliper fell off.
Yeah.
And then this year you decided to put a hole in your leg with a chain. Is Donington a jinx after the wins, or what is it? Because you've always gone well there, but you qualified well both times, and then it's just gone. Is it 9 o'clock? I would say it's gone to shit since.
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. It's a good question. Because you think after
if you
after
look at your form, like from your times, and that Donington is where you seem to go the best at.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think maybe just a bit of bad luck, like you say, that the caliper snapped in on the Suzuki days, which then put me in the back of the grid for race two.
And you came through in that race really well. And I think, to be honest with you, there was definitely a podium on that weekend.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of times on Suzuki and even on a BM where there's just a little bit of bad luck that maybe hindered us a good result. But yeah, I don't quite know what what it is with Donington now that's given me a little bit of bad luck. But
the same with Snet as well. You're doing so well on the Suzuki. I think it must have been about third round there. I think it was the round shaky. No, it was after shaky.
After.
And you had coming together with Irwin.
Yeah, I crashed out both races on the Suzuki there out of the lead. And then, last year...
You got a bit pushed out the way on the last lap.
Yeah, got pushed out by Buchan in race two, and then I had another issue in race three. So, yeah.
In that first race of Sneds, and you seem to be, I think it was really quick in the middle part of the lap, but you seem to really struggle at the end. Was that something down to BW?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit just that last sector. The way we wasn't able to be able to steer the bike on gas for some strange reason, and obviously that's where they were able to catch me up around just that last sector. And then Brooks put the move on me on the second to last lap, which then run me wide and let everyone else through. So and obviously being slow in the last sector is probably the worst one to be slow.
I mean, that's where everyone's going for.
Yeah, if you can be quick in the last sector, you've got a chance to get a good result. But we just lack of time on the bike and lack of trying.
Yeah, well, there was definitely glimpses of that it could be a good package, and the B&W, I think all of us have seen how good it is as a stock bike, but it just hasn't quite been there as a super bike. So I think maybe hopefully this year with a few changes they've made, that might just give it that little edge to get it to the top of the podium.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everywhere where we're sort of struggling, I think BMW have maybe addressed that with this new bike. I mean, it's always good to have a bit more power, so they've added that. Obviously, the wings seem to be helping the Ducati and the Honda, so BMW have put a lot of time in the wind tunnel with that. And a few other areas on the bike. I think they've changed something with the swing arm pivot, so that might help us create a little bit more rear grip. So hopefully we can get the bike as soon as possible and get straight out tested and work out a plan.
Brad, Michael's got a question.
Yeah, Brad, do you think that they've changed the frame geometry and stuff to try and make the tyres work a little bit better? And do you think that it'll help with the front end next year?
Yeah, possibly. I think the front end of the bike's actually similar. I think it's more mid to the rear that they've changed. And like you say, I think they may have done something to maybe generate a little bit more grip especially with this new tyre that's come out, the new Pirelli. That's something that we really struggle with this year. And I think that they've obviously found that in World Superbikes as well. And like you say, I think they might have addressed that with the way they've built the new chassis.
Yeah, and who's your crew chief next year? Have you got Ray or someone else?
I've got Johnny Gill, so I'm working with Johnny Gill. Yeah, on the. Oh, sorry.
Ah. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the computer went tits up. I said, have you got Ray next season or a different crew chief?
No, I've got a different one. I've got Johnny Gill, who was working with Mossy this year.
All right. Yeah.
So that'd be good. Be good to get working with him.
Yeah, I've Uncle Ray. He's worked with me a lot in the past. He helped me at club level, and when I first started in Superbikes, he's got some crazy ideas, but somehow he always seems to find a way. So I'm sure you'll be getting told off about a few things. Yeah,
no, 100%. I think he's working sort of on Carl's side maybe more, but I think he'll be helping in the middle as well. And I like Ray. I've worked with Ray in 2017, and like you say, he is a bit wild with his changes to the bike, but he always seems to come out and get it working in a way that nobody else can. So I think he'll be a good asset for the team.
Is my computer done?
It's all the gravy that you've got inside it, Michael. That's what it is. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you fine, Brad. Don't worry about that. Don't let him put you off.
It's gone. You'll have to crack on without me. I'll try something connection out, folks.
Yeah, I bet it's something to do. Anyway, never mind. Yeah, sorry.
Over the pause.
Yeah, his internet's a bit slow in where he is.
Like me.
Sorry, you were saying. Sorry, Jay, you were saying something earlier to Brad.
Was I? Well, I'm going to say something like totally off racing now. And at the last round at Brands Hatch, I don't know his name, but he's an actor from EastEnders, but I don't know him from that. I know him as Tiger from Benidorm, and I made myself look like a right knob because I shouted out in the paddock, "Look, that's Tiger from Benidorm." And he looked at me thinking I'm a right twat. Was he just there for the racing, or was he there on a day out, or is he a race fan?
He's a race fan. He actually does track days as well. And it's through Taylor Mackenzie. So obviously Taylor and Neil do the Silverstone track days. Yeah. And he was up there.
Danny Walters, my missus just said his name.
Danny Walters, yeah, that's it. And he plays Keanu off EastEnders.
Yeah, I only know him from Benidorm.
And I'm a massive EastEnders fan, so Taylor brought him into the garage and we said hello, had a good old chat, and I've been messaging him quite often. I think we're going to go and grab a bit of food together in London or something, and yeah, so
he just looked at me. I had the blue hair at the time, so he just thought I was a right knob.
Worth it though.
Yeah, if I'd known his real name, it would have been all right.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Yeah. Right.
Going back to the tyre thing, because obviously you mentioned the new tyre, and I think a lot of people have been talking about it. What was the main differences between the new and the old?
I think compound was one. I think they changed the compound of the rear tyre and the size as well. They actually changed the size of the front and the rear tyre. They made the rear more of a V shape, and I think they made the front a bit more rounded. So it was interesting because we didn't actually find out that we had new tyres until we got to round one. So obviously the different shape of tyre obviously affects the ride height of the bike and the way the chassis is. So we had to do a lot of digging and a lot of research and ask Pirelli actually what the changes were.
You did all the testing on the old tyres?
Yeah. Well, no, sorry. We done all the riding on the new tyres, but didn't realise the changes
right, I got you.
Until somebody sort of mentioned it and said about the new tyres, and we was like, okay, we need to find out a bit of information. yeah, that probably hindered us a little bit. But yeah, everyone throughout the year was slating the tyres a little bit and was wondering why the change. But I think by the end of the year, everyone seemed to get their head around it a little bit and start making M-ways with them.
Yeah. Do you think it's a step forward? Once everyone gets their head around it, they'll be quicker, more durable.
I think so. I think the tyre life's definitely improved with the new rear. Maybe because it's just that little bit harder. But like Michael said, it's trying to generate that grip now to allow us to be able to race and get the lap times and being consistent. But the front, I feel, is a good improvement to what they've done with that. But it's just trying to generate that grip in the rear.
Yeah, in 2019 at MotoGP, I was then there speaking to Simon from Dunlop, and the guy that's taken over the development at Pirelli, he's the former development guy from Dunlop. So it'll be interesting to see if there can be any sort of comparisons made next year when Pirelli just fettled the tyres a little bit more. If they're moving more towards a Dunlop feel of a tyre.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I mean, you can almost see from the lap times this year in BSB with how consistent they are and how people are doing quick laps at the end of the race. I mean, 3 or 4 years ago, you would do your quickest lap on lap 2 or 3 of the race, and then go sort of backwards from there. But yeah, they seem to be holding their own and being able to last the race distance and be a lot more consistent.
Yeah, I've never put a fast lap in towards the end of a race because I'm always hanging out my arse. But
you give it 100%.
If I can find something to ride next year, it'd be nice to have a go on these tyres and just see if I can give any sort of comparison, just whether they do feel any more like a Dunlop that we used to run on back in the day, the G-Tex and the N-Tex, and then the tyres that Levere were getting were fucking ridiculous. Yet one of Levere's tyres was better than our qualifiers and with 2 seconds a lap, just like that. Just like that.
Mad, isn't it? Mad. Yeah.
Well, I think that's unless anyone else has got any more questions for Brad, I think that's all we've got time for.
Oh, I've got one quick one. Obviously, you've rode with Kyle, who's now your teammate, pretty much like all of your racing life. Is it good to have a good friend like that as your teammate, or would you prefer someone like an enemy? Or will you be enemies through the season eventually?
we might end up as enemies. You don't know yet. We'll see how testing goes. But no, I mean, I've raced with Carl, like you say, for most of my life, growing up with mini bikes and going out to Spain together. There was only a couple of years where we weren't actually in the same category or same championship. But yeah, I think it'd be good. Obviously, we're both young kids, young riders. We both want to win. And I think we're both going to try and do the best we can. And obviously, it's going to be competitive. I mean, I know we're teammates, but we're going to be pushing each other. And I think it'd be a good relationship in there for sure.
Cheers, Brad. Nice having you on.
No worries.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Brad. We wish you the best of luck going into the 2021 season with OMG, and we're definitely going to be following.
Yeah, spot on. Cheers, guys.
Perfect. Take care.
Thank you very much, and you. See you later.